Hi, welcome to another episode of the Forgotten Flutter Show. In this episode, we will take a look at different routing methods in Flutter. But before that, let's take a look at what is routing. Any screen that we see in our mobile application is called a view. As our mobile applications become increasingly complex, the number of views increases as well. There are just so many views in a real-world applications. You have sign in and sign up views, homepage view, settings view, and a lot more depending on the purpose of that application. You can navigate back and forth between different views just by clicking on visual elements like buttons. That navigation part is known as routing. In Flutter, we have three types of routing: simple routing, name routing, and advanced name routing or generated routing. There's one more type of routing that's released recently, that is the Navigator 2.0 API, but I will keep that for another video. Here in Android Studio, I have already set up a project with two pages, page A and page B. And page A is going to be my home page and page B is going to be my second page where we are going to route. And in main.dart, I have set home page as our first route. So in Flutter, we use the Navigator API to route or navigate between the pages. Navigator is a stack provided by the Material app class, and our home route or home page is now the first route in this stack. So as you know, a stack has two functions, that is push and pop. So when you are pushing a route on the top of the stack, that is the route that you are viewing right now. And pop is opposite to pushing, that is we are removing a route from the stack and you are navigated to the previous route. In page A, I have this elevated button which says go to page 2. And so in the onPress method of this button, I am simply going to write navigator.push and it is going to take two arguments, that is the context and second one is the route. And the route is going to be material page route or Cupertino page route depending on you are developing for Android or iOS. And then it takes a builder as an argument, and the builder is a function which takes build context as an argument and returns the second page. And that's it. That's the syntax to push a route on top of our stack. Let's reload this application, go to page 2, and here we are on our second page. Just opposite to that, we have navigator.pop, and that is going to remove the topmost route from our stack. We are in page b.dart and we are programming this go back button over here. This is the syntax navigator.pop and it is going to remove this second page route from our stack, and just below that we have our home page and we will be navigated to that page if we click on this button. So go back and we are back to our home page. And this is what is called as simple routing. It's very simple, right? Note that we have this back button over here on the app bar, and this button is generated automatically if we have a route below our topmost route. So let's dig in a little bit deeper and go to the next type of routing, that is named routing. As the name suggests, we will have name for our routes. Back in our main.dart, we have the material app, and here I'm going to define a parameter that is routes, and it is going to be a map. For home page, it is a convention that we use a single forward slash, and that is going to be a function which takes build context as an argument and returns our page, that is the home page. And we have another route that is the second route, and that is again context, and that is my second page. And instead of home, now we are going to define a initial route, and that is forward slash. So what's happening here is, this is my initial route, that is forward slash. It is going to check this map over here if we have forward slash, and if it matches, it is going to give me home page. Similarly, we can, if we define over here slash second, it is going to take me on the second page as soon as our app is loaded. So I'm going to hot restart the application and see what we get. So we got the first page, that is our home page, because that is what is our initial route. And if we go back to page A, and now if we want to go to page B, that is our second page, we have small changes in our syntax. We had navigator.push, just below that I'm going to write navigator dot push name, and that is also going to take one context, and instead of taking material page route, it is going to take a route name. In our case it is /second, and we don't need the previous one. So I'm going to comment out this one and reload the application, and if I click on go to page 2, here we are on page 2 as expected. Similarly, if we want to go back, there's no change in syntax, we can still use navigator.pop and go back still works. Now imagine if you wanted to pass some variables back and forth, or if you wanted to add some customizations to your route, such as protected routes or something like that. You cannot really do much by configuring it over here. You need a separate class for that, and that is what is called as generated routing, and it is the most advanced form of routing in Flutter. So let's get into it. And for that I'm going to create one more file over here, that is routes.dart, and here I'm going to create a new class, that is route generator. Inside that I'm going to create a static function which returns a route of type dynamic, and it's called generate route. It takes an argument, that is route settings, and inside this function we can have some arguments, and these arguments are stored in settings.argument. These will be the arguments that we can pass on to our routes. Next we will have a switch case, and we will have settings.name, and case, that is our home page. For /, we are going to return material page route and context, and that is going to be my home page. Of course it's constant right now. And for our second case, there we go, and we can also set our default route. So in case there are routes, incorrect routes, where the app may crash if you are going to, let's say if we had something like /3rd, and if we don't have that particular route, we can set a default route over here which takes you to, let's say, invalid route page, where you can define like 404 or something. I'm just putting home page over there for now. Meanwhile, we are using material page route over here just for Android versions, and you can also have other types of routing like Cupertino page routing for iOS. So that's basically platform dependent routing. So let's see how we can have platform dependent routing in Flutter. So here we have static route dynamic, and we have a private function, that is platform dependent routing, and it's a type function. So for a type function we define it as p in between the triangular brackets, and it takes arguments, that is a widget, and inside this function we will determine if our platform is Android. We are going to return material page route. Builder is still going to be context, and we are going to return our widget over here. Otherwise we are going to return Cupertino page route. So for our iOS version, again our material page route is going to be typed, and now we can replace this whole thing with platform dependent routing, and our widget is going to be homepage. Similarly for the other two, there we go. And in main.dart we are going to make some changes. So here we are going to have on generate route, and that is going to be my route generator dot generate route. Let's restart this. Okay, so as expected we are still on our first page, and in page b.dart we don't have to do anything. In page a as well we don't have to do anything as such. we have just changed something in initial routes over here, and we just added on generate route and created this routes class. So everything else remains the same, and now if we click on page 2, it still goes to page 2 as expected, and when we go back, it still goes back to our home page. Now, to add some arguments, what we are going to do is on page number 2, instead of writing this is second page, I am going to write welcome Vishal, or whatever name I am going to pass over there dynamically. So in page b.dart, here we have this is second page, I am going to write welcome, and I'm going to write some name over here dynamically. And here I'm going to have a attribute that is name, and let's add that in our constructor as required, this dot name, and here I'm going to write my name. This name I'm going to pass with the route. So when we go back to routes.dart, we see red over here. I will remove the constant because it's no more going to be constant, and here I have string name. Actually it can be final, and that is going to be these arguments as string. We are casting from dynamic to string, and I'm going to pass it over here. And let's go back to page a.dart, and we have our push name, and while pushing this on the top of our stack, we can add arguments to it, and my argument is going to be my name. Reload the application, and this is my home page, and if I try to go to page 2, it says welcome Vishal. Let's go back, change our name over here and write forgotten programmer. Reload it, go back to page 2, and it now says welcome forgotten programmer. Similarly, we can return some values from this page back to our home page. So go back to page B, and when we are popping the context, we can pass some results over here. So let's say my result is a string. We are back to home, and this is what is going to be sent back when we pop the route. So in page A, where we are pushing our stack, we are going to write asynchronous over here because we are going to get that result asynchronously, and here I'm going to wait for the result and store it over here, result, and then I'm going to simply log the result on the console. So log underscore result. I know the result is going to be in a string, so yeah, it's string. Fine. And we still have some errors over here. That's because it does not yet know that we are going to get string from our next route. So just to clarify it, we are going to write string over here. Well, it's still not sure that if you are going to get string or not. It can be null as well. So for that, I'm going to write a question mark over here. That's because this value can be null. And if it is going to be null, I'm going to log not found. Let's reload our application, and I'm going to open the run window so you can see the result getting logged over here. Let's go to next page, and okay, so this is first of all our home page over here. Let's go back to page 2. Okay, so we have an error over here. That's because I forgot one more step, that is go to routes.dart, and in platform dependent routing I'm going to add string, that is the type we are going to get back from our next route. And now if I reload the application, go to page 2, I get welcome forgotten programmer, and if I press go back, we are seeing this message, we are back home. That's how you pass messages to and from our routes. You can also pass multiple arguments. So if you want to pass multiple arguments, you need to create one more class over here. So that class second page arguments, and first one is the string, that's my first name, and the second one is also a string, and that's my last name. And this constructor is going to take this dot first name and this dot last name. So we have two arguments over here to pass to our second page. So going back to routes.dart, we will say second page arguments and cast them again to second page arguments. In second page, I am going to have second page arguments and rename that thing to arguments. And my arguments here will now be arguments dot first name and arguments dot last name. Okay, so we have it over here. Let's go to page A, and instead of passing the string, I'm going to pass second page arguments, and my first name is Vishal and my last name is Pednikar, and of course that is constant because we are using constant values. And we will need to perform a hot restart. Okay, so let's go to page 2, and now it shows my full name, and that is how you pass multiple arguments. So that is all for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and we are coming up with a video on Navigator 2.0 API very shortly, so make sure you get subscribed for it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, keep coding.